I've thought about this because when I started researching her, I went through a period of immense dislike of her as a character. I thought, this is going to be a problem. You know, you can't really. I mean, you could theoretically do a show about a dislikable lady going through this, but eventually, I flew to LA and I interviewed people who sort of used to hang out with her and stuff, and gradually a sort of picture emerged. What was interesting, it was very hard when you consider how much footage there is of her. It was very hard to find who the true person was, this sort of younger person. I met people who she went to Guess as a model sort of thing, and you've got to remember she was phenomenally successful, globally famous, pure liquid gold, pure fame across the globe, and it's very hard to say what she actually did, and that's fascinating, because if you're going to write a show about fame, it's much more interesting that they don't actually do anything. I mean, like a show about Marilyn Monroe, I think, she's worthy of it, but it's not so interesting because she was a fantastic actress, and she had, even though it was a tragic end, of course, but this is just pure kind of fame. And I remember, though, in terms of the sympathy factor, two things. I finally thought, okay, this show actually is about a single mom. I just made a decision. This show is about a single mom trying to do the best for her kid, make some wrong choices, make some right choices, and then runs out of choices. And then also, I was heartened when I heard a story by Spike Jonze. I don't know if you saw a movie called Being John Malkovich. Anyway, so there's a great story on set. John Malkovich says to Spike Jonze, I don't speak like this. I wouldn't say a sentence like this. This isn't me. And Spike Jonze said to him, no, you wouldn't, but the Malkovich would. And it was a lovely distinction, because I thought, this isn't a documentary, and this is about the Anna. And this is about the Anna and the lawyer. And so if there's any problem, I kept thinking back to that. And when we were discussing it a lot, I'd say, well, what would the Anna do? And that helped a lot. But I think it's impossible not to feel sympathy for the character when you read that. And I think she's almost like a 21st century archetype, really. And that became, and the story is so thematically rich and diverse. It could have been set in, 18th century Versailles. You've got the trophy wife, the trophy countess, or Marie Antoinette Nicole, marrying some rich guy. He dies. The fight for the decade of litigation in the courts, the love triangle. It's oddly a very conservative choice of idea, really. And that was luck, I think, And I also like the fact that people think, oh, that's a bit trashy, isn't it? And they go, oh, no, it's not. And that's what we play with. So you kind of have the cartoonish or the caricature of Act One, and then suddenly it really tips over. And also what's interesting is you'd be surprised at how little you know the actual story, which is another interesting thing. You think you know the story about this person, but you don't. You don't know the true story. And characters in the show are all saying, it didn't happen like this. Everyone's contradicting each other, saying, no, it didn't happen like this. But underneath there's this kind of horrible delightful truth at points, but also this horrible tragedy just lurking away that could actually have happened to, it was bad luck and just a sort of slow, horrible sort of death of the soul and the spirit. And anyway, that's it.